I woke up this morning and the weight was already there, pressing against my chest before I even opened my eyes. The sunlight was barely beginning to touch the edges of my window, soft and golden. But inside me, there was only heaviness. I could feel it in my bones. This exhaustion that sleep couldn't fix. This emptiness that the night couldn't heal. I opened my eyes slowly, and the first thought that came wasn't gratitude or hope. It was just, God, I don't know if I can do this today. The room was so quiet. That kind of morning quiet where you can hear your own breathing, where the world hasn't started moving yet, where it's just you and the weight you're carrying. And I felt it all. Every worry I went to bed with was still there. Every hurt from yesterday hadn't faded. Every responsibility waiting for me felt like a mountain I had no strength to climb. I pulled the blanket closer, not because I was cold, but because I needed something to hold on to. Something to make me feel less scattered, less fragile, less empty. I whispered into that quiet morning air, my voice barely there. God, I have nothing left. And it was true. I had been running on fumes for so long, pushing through days with a smile that didn't reach my heart, saying I'm fine when I wasn't fine at all. I had been strong when I needed to be strong, brave when I had to be brave, steady when everyone else needed me to be steady. But this morning, alone in this soft golden light, I couldn't pretend anymore. I was drained, completely, utterly drained. The kind of tired that sits deep in your soul, where rest doesn't reach it and sleep doesn't touch it. I lay there for a long moment, watching dust particles float through the morning light, and I let myself feel it all. The disappointment of yesterday, the fear of today, the ache of feeling like I'm always giving and never refilling, the loneliness of carrying burdens no one else can see, the exhaustion of trying to be enough when I don't feel like enough, the weight of expectations, responsibilities, unspoken needs, unhealed wounds, all of it, right there, pressing down on me before the day had even begun. I closed my eyes again, not to sleep, but to steady myself, to find something inside me that could face this day. But when I reached inward, searching for strength, for courage, for anything to hold on to, I found nothing, just emptiness, just weariness, just the honest, vulnerable truth that I had absolutely nothing left to give. And maybe that's where this prayer really begins, not in my strength, but in my weakness, not in what I have, but in what I don't have, not in my ability to rise, but in my inability to stand on my own. I don't even know when the tears started. They just came, quiet and slow, rolling down the side of my face as I lay there in that peaceful morning light. And I wasn't crying from sadness exactly. It was deeper than that. It was the release of trying to hold everything together. It was the surrender of pretending I could do this alone. It was the breaking open of a heart that had been closed too tightly for too long. God, I whispered again, my voice cracking just a little. I don't know how to do today. I don't know how to carry what I'm carrying. I don't know how to be strong when I feel this weak. I don't know how to keep going when I feel this empty. The room stayed quiet. The sunlight kept moving across the wall, slow and gentle, painting everything in shades of gold and amber. Outside, I could hear the first birds beginning their morning songs. Somewhere far away, the world was waking up. But in this moment, in this stillness, it was just me and my brokenness, me and my honesty, me and the God I was desperately reaching for. I thought about yesterday, how hard I had tried, how much I had pushed through, how I had smiled when I wanted to cry, worked when I wanted to rest, gave when I had nothing left to give. I thought about the conversations that had drained me, the responsibilities that had overwhelmed me, the disappointments that had crushed me. I thought about how I had gone to bed hoping that sleep would somehow reset everything, that I would wake up feeling renewed, restored, ready. But instead, I woke up feeling even emptier than before, and the weight of that realization settled over me like a fog. What if I don't have what it takes? What if today breaks me? What if I can't be what everyone needs me to be? What if I fail? What if I fall apart? What if this emptiness never goes away? The questions spiraled in my mind, each one heavier than the last, and I felt my chest tighten, my breathing shallow, my heart racing with a fear I couldn't quite name. It wasn't just about today. It was about all the days ahead. It was about the pattern I'd been living, giving and giving until there was nothing left, pushing and pushing until I couldn't push anymore. It was about the growing suspicion that I had been operating in my own strength for so long that I had forgotten what it felt like to rest in His. I opened my eyes again and stared at the ceiling, at the way the morning light was slowly chasing away the shadows. And in that moment, I realized something. I had been trying to be my own savior, trying to fix everything, carry everything, solve everything, be everything. I had been living like my strength was enough, like my effort was sufficient, like my will could overcome anything. But the truth is, it never was. I was never meant to carry this alone. I was never meant to be this strong. I was never meant to have all the answers. I was meant to depend on Him. The thought settled into my spirit like a whisper carried on the morning breeze, soft, gentle, true. I wasn't made to be self-sufficient. I wasn't created to carry the weight of the world on my own shoulders. I wasn't designed to operate in my own power. I was made for something else entirely. I was made to be carried, to be held, to be sustained, to be strengthened by a source beyond myself. And as that truth began to sink in, something shifted in the atmosphere. The air in my room felt different, lighter somehow, like a heaviness was lifting that I didn't even know was there. The morning light seemed warmer, softer, more present. And in the quiet stillness of that sacred moment, I felt something I hadn't felt in so long. His nearness, not loud or dramatic, not overwhelming or forceful, just near, like a presence settling into the room with me, like a peace that didn't need words to announce itself, like a love that knew exactly what I needed before I could even ask for it. My breathing slowed, my racing heart began to calm, and in that beautiful, tender silence, I heard it, not with my ears, but with my spirit, not as a shout, but as a whisper, not commanding me to be strong, but promising me something far better. I will carry you today. 4 simple words. But they landed in my soul like rain on dry ground, like light breaking through darkness, like breath entering tired lungs. I will carry you today. Not you have to carry yourself. Not you need to be stronger. Not you should have figured this out by now, but I will carry you. I will carry you. The tears came again, but this time they were different. They weren't tears of exhaustion or fear. They were tears of relief, of recognition, of remembering. Because somewhere deep inside me, I knew this voice. I had heard it before, in other dark moments, in other impossible circumstances, in other times when I had nothing left. This was the voice that had never abandoned me. The voice that had spoken life when I felt dead inside. The voice that had promised to never leave me or forsake me. And He was speaking again, right here, right now. In this quiet morning moment when I was at my weakest, He was reminding me of His strength. I thought about Isaiah, the prophet who heard God say, "Even to your old age and grey hairs, I am He. I am He who will sustain you. I have made you, and I will carry you. I will sustain you, and I will rescue you." I thought about how God doesn't wait until we're strong enough to help ourselves. He meets us in our weakness. He finds us in our emptiness. He reaches for us when we have nothing left to give. I will carry you today. The words kept echoing in my heart, each repetition bringing more peace, more comfort, more hope. And I realized that this was what I had been missing. This was what I had been desperately needing without even knowing it. Not more strength to carry my own load. Not more willpower to push through on my own. Not more determination to figure everything out by myself. But this beautiful, humbling, life-giving truth that I don't have to carry anything, because he's carrying me. I sat up slowly, letting the blanket fall away, and I looked out the window at the morning unfolding. The sun was climbing higher now, painting the sky in shades of pink and orange and gold. Everything looked softer in this light, gentler, new, like the world itself was being renewed right before my eyes. And I felt it happening inside me too. A slow, steady renewal. Not because anything about my circumstances had changed, but because everything about my perspective had shifted. I wasn't facing this day in my strength anymore. I was facing it in his. I wasn't carrying my burdens anymore. He was carrying me. I wasn't operating in what I had left. I was resting in what he had always had. God, I whispered, this time with more steadiness in my voice. Thank you for meeting me here. Thank you for not waiting until I had it all together. Thank you for finding me in my weakness and reminding me of your strength. Thank you for not being disappointed in my emptiness, but for filling it with your presence. Thank you for this promise that you will carry me today. I stood up from the bed, my legs a little shaky, but my heart a little lighter. I walked to the window and placed my hand on the cool glass, watching the world wake up around me, the trees swaying gently in the morning breeze, the birds singing their songs of gratitude, the light spreading across everything, chasing away every shadow, making everything visible, everything beautiful, everything new. And I realized that this is what it means to walk with God. It's not about being strong enough on my own. It's not about having all the answers or feeling completely ready or being free from fear. It's about learning to let him carry what I cannot. It's about surrendering my need to do it all myself and accepting his invitation to rest in his sufficiency. It's about trading my weakness for his strength, my emptiness for his fullness, my fear for his peace. I thought about the day ahead of me, all the things I needed to do, all the people I needed to show up for, all the responsibilities waiting for me. And instead of feeling overwhelmed by them, I felt something different. I felt covered, protected, upheld, because I wasn't walking into this day alone. I was being carried into it. Every step I took would be held by his strength. Every breath I breathed would be sustained by his spirit. Every moment I lived would be wrapped in his presence. I will carry you today. And if he's carrying me, then I don't need to worry about whether I'm strong enough. If he's carrying me, then I don't need to fear that I'll fall apart. If he's carrying me, then I don't need to pretend I have it all together. I can be weak, and he will be strong. I can be empty, between he will be full. I can be weary, and he will be my rest. I closed my eyes and took a deep breath, letting the morning air fill my lungs. And as I breathed out, I released everything I had been holding on to. The need to be perfect, the pressure to perform, the fear of not being enough, the exhaustion of trying to do it all, the weight of yesterday's disappointments, the anxiety about tomorrow's unknowns. I released all of it. I let it go because I didn't need to carry it anymore. He was carrying me. God, I prayed, my voice stronger now, filled with a quiet confidence that wasn't mine but his. I surrender this day to you. I surrender my strength, my plans, my worries, my fears. I surrender my need to control everything, to fix everything, to be everything. I give you this day, every moment of it, every challenge in it, every opportunity within it, and I receive your promise. I will let you carry me. I opened my eyes and looked at my reflection in the window, and I barely recognized myself. Not because I looked different, but because I felt different. The heaviness was lifting, the emptiness was filling. The exhaustion was being replaced by something else, not a frantic energy or a forced optimism, but a deep, settled peace. The kind of peace that comes from knowing you're not alone. The kind of peace that comes from trusting in something bigger than yourself. The kind of peace that comes from being carried by the one who created you, knows you, loves you, and will never let you go. I thought about all the times I had tried to be strong on my own. All the times I had pushed through when I should have rested. All the times I had carried weights I was never meant to carry. All the times I had exhausted myself trying to be enough, do enough, give enough. And I felt a gentle sorrow for all those moments. Not guilt, but compassion. The kind of compassion God has for us when we're striving and straining and struggling to do what only He can do. But today was different. Today I was choosing something else. Today I was choosing to be carried, to let Him be strong where I am weak, to let Him fill what is empty, to let Him sustain what cannot sustain itself. This was my act of worship, my declaration of trust, my surrender of control. I walked away from the window and moved through my morning routine slowly, intentionally, prayerfully. Each movement felt different when I remembered I was being carried. Washing my face became an act of receiving His cleansing. Brushing my hair became an act of letting Him care for me. Getting dressed became an act of putting on His strength. Everything was transformed by this one truth. I will carry you today. As I stood in my quiet kitchen, pouring water for tea, I watched the steam rise and curl in the morning light, and I thought about how that's what His presence does. It rises up in our lives, gentle and persistent, warming us from the inside out, filling the spaces we didn't even know were empty. He doesn't force His way in. He doesn't demand our attention. He just shows up, faithful and constant, ready to carry us through whatever we're facing. I sat down at my table with my warm cup cradled in my hands, and I looked out at the world fully awake now. People starting their days, cars beginning to move, life unfolding in all its beautiful, complicated, overwhelming glory. And I knew that out there, beyond this peaceful moment, there would be challenges. There would be difficult conversations and hard decisions and moments when I would want to fall back into old patterns of striving and straining and trying to do it all myself. But I also knew something else. I knew that every time I felt that familiar weight trying to settle back onto my shoulders, I could return to this moment. I could remember this promise. I could hear His whisper again. I will carry you today. And I could choose, moment by moment, breath by breath, step by step, to let Him do exactly that. This is what it means to walk by faith, not to be free from struggles, but to know you're not struggling alone, not to avoid weakness, but to discover that His strength is perfected in your weakness, not to escape the weight of life, but to let Him carry both you and the weight you're bearing. I sipped my tea slowly, savoring the warmth, the quiet, the peace that had replaced the chaos I woke up with. And I realized that this is what I had been longing for all along. Not an easier life, not fewer responsibilities, not a path without pain, but this intimate knowing that I am held, this deep assurance that I am not abandoned, this beautiful truth that when I have nothing left, He has everything I need. I will carry you today. And if He carries me today, He will carry me tomorrow, and the day after that, and every day that follows. This isn't just a promise for this morning. It's a pattern for my life, a way of living that acknowledges my limitations and His limitlessness. A daily surrender that keeps me connected to the source of all strength, all peace, all hope. I thought about the woman I was when I first opened my eyes this morning. Exhausted, empty, afraid. And I thought about the woman I am now, sitting in this golden morning light, still carrying the same circumstances, but carried through them, still facing the same challenges, but not facing them alone, still weak in myself, but strong in Him. This is the transformation that happens when we let God carry us. We don't suddenly become superhuman. We don't magically have all the answers. We don't instantly feel fearless and perfect, but we do become something better. We become people who know where our strength comes from. We become people who can face impossibilities with peace. We become people who can be weak and still move forward, empty and still give, tired and still keep going, because we're not operating in our own power anymore. We're being carried. I finished my tea and stood up, ready now to step into my day. Not because I had manufactured some false confidence, not because I had psyched myself up with positive thinking, not because I had suddenly found reserves of strength I didn't know I had, but because I was walking in the truth of His promise. I will carry you today. I moved toward my door, my hand on the handle, and I paused one more time, one more prayer, one more moment of surrender, one more declaration of trust. God, whatever this day holds, whatever comes my way, whatever challenges I face, whatever conversations I have, whatever responsibilities fall on me, whatever unexpected things arise, I'm choosing to believe that you are carrying me through all of it. When I feel weak, I will remember your strength. When I feel empty, I will remember your fullness. When I feel alone, I will remember your presence. When I feel afraid, I will remember your promises. And when I forget, when I start to slip back into trying to do it all on my own, remind me again, whisper to my heart again, I will carry you today. I opened the door and stepped out into the morning. The air was fresh and cool against my skin. The sunlight was warm and welcoming. The world was alive with possibility, and I was carried, held, sustained, strengthened, not by my own doing, but by His unfailing love. And as I took my first steps into this new day, I felt something I hadn't felt in so long. Hope. Real hope. Not the kind that depends on circumstances changing or problems disappearing or life getting easier, but the kind that rests in the unchanging character of a God who keeps His promises. The kind that knows that even when I am weak, He is strong. Even when I am empty, He is full. Even when I have nothing left, He has everything I need. I will carry you today. And because He carries me, I can face today. I can show up. I can love. I can serve. I can give. Not from my own depleted reserves, but from His unlimited supply. Not in my own failing strength, but in His never-failing power. Not through my own weak efforts, but through His mighty working within me. This is the gift He gives us every morning. The invitation to be carried, the promise to be sustained, the assurance that we never have to walk alone, and all He asks is that we stop trying to do it ourselves, that we surrender our need to be strong enough, capable enough, sufficient enough, that we open our empty hands and let Him fill them, that we admit our weakness and discover His strength. I walked forward into my day, and with each step, I felt His presence carrying me. In the mundane moments and the challenging ones, in the quiet interactions and the difficult conversations, in the responsibilities I fulfilled and the rest I allowed myself to take. In every breath, every heartbeat, every moment, I was held by the One who promised to never let me go. And when the day grew long and I started to feel tired again, I didn't panic. I didn't despair. I didn't fall back into old patterns of pushing through on my own. Instead, I paused. I breathed. I remembered, and I heard it again, that gentle whisper that had transformed my morning and was now transforming my entire day. I will carry you today, and He did. Through every single moment, through every hard thing and every beautiful thing, through every tear and every smile, through every doubt and every small victory, He carried me, just like He promised, just like He always does, just like He always will, because that's who He is, the God who carries His children. the God who meets us in our weakness, the God who sustains us when we have nothing left, the God who whispers into our emptiness and fills it with His presence, the God who transforms our mornings from darkness to light, from despair to hope, from exhaustion to peace. I will carry you today. And if you woke up this morning feeling exactly the way I did, heavy and drained and empty and unsure, let this be your reminder too. You don't have to carry yourself. You don't have to be strong enough on your own. You don't have to have it all together. You just have to let Him carry you. Surrender the weight, release the burden, open your hands, accept His promise. He will carry you today, and that changes everything.